Good morning, students. In this class, we are going to start the next unit, that is unit number 10, S block elements. Now, already we know that in the periodic table, group 1 and group 2 elements are called as what? The S block elements. In the periodic table, the group 1 and group 2 elements are called as what? Which block elements? S block elements. Now, what is meant by S block elements? For example, group 1, what are the elements? Lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium. These are all are called as what? S block elements. Why these are called as what? S block elements. If you see the electronic configuration of lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium, in all these elements, the last electron enters into the s orbital of the valence shell. S orbital of which shell? Valence shell. Therefore, these are all called as what? S block elements. Similarly, for the group 2, what are the group 2 elements? Beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, radium. These are all group 2 elements. Beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, radium. These are also called as what? S block elements, because if you see the electronic configuration of all these elements, in all these elements, the last electron enters into the s orbital of valence shell. Therefore, these are all called as what? S block elements. Now, simply what is meant by S block elements is the elements in which last electron enters into, this mark indicates enters into s orbital of the valence shell, are called as what? S block elements. That is only I am writing definition here. The definition for the S block elements is the elements in which the last electron enters into s orbital of the valence shell are called S block elements. What is meant by S block elements? The elements in which the last electron or the differentiating electron enters into which orbital? It should have to enters into the s orbital of the last shell, outermost shell, or valence shell, are called as what? S block elements. Now we know that also. Now in the periodic table, the group 1 and group 2 elements are called S block elements. Means in the periodic table, the group 1 and group 2 elements are called as what? S block elements. Now what are the group 1 and group 2 elements? I will write separately here already. Now only I told. Once again I will write here group 1 and group 2 elements. What are the group 1 elements and group 2 elements? We will discuss. Here group 1 elements are, one by one I will write. Group 1 elements, what are those? Lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, and the last one is francium. Now these are the group 1 elements. Now symbol for the lithium is, what are the symbol for lithium? Li, sodium Na, potassium K, rubidium R small b, cesium Cs, and francium is Fr, francium. Now here I am putting star for the francium. Now you may ask, why you are putting star for the francium, sir? Because this francium is the radioactive element. This francium is the radioactive element in the group 1. In the group 1, 1 marks question may be like this. 1 marks question may be like this. In the group 1 elements, which one is the radioactive element? Then your answer should be francium. Francium is the radioactive element in the group 1. Now we will go for the group 2 elements. What are the group 2 elements? I will write here. Group 2 elements are now beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, and the last one is radium. Here it is. Beryllium symbol is Be. Beryllium symbol is Be, and magnesium symbol already you know, Mg. Calcium symbol is Ca, and strontium symbol is Sr. Similarly, barium symbol is Ba. Right, beryllium symbol is Be, barium symbol is Ba, and radium symbol is Ra. Means beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, radium. These are the elements which are present in the group 2, present in the R group 2. Now here also one radioactive element is there. In the group 2 also one radioactive element is there. For 1 marks it will be the question, which is the radioactive element in the group 2. Right, your answer should be radium. The last element in the group 2 is radioactive. That is, radium is the radioactive in the group 2 elements. In the group 2 elements. Similarly, group 1, which one is the radioactive element? Francium. Right, in the group 2, which one is the radioactive element? Radium. 1 marks. Right, now here just remember, the last element in the group 1 and group 2 are radioactive. Next, here in this particular unit, S block elements, we are going to discuss about only two groups, deeply about two groups, group 1 elements separately and group 2 elements separately. Now in this class, we are going to start with the group 1 elements. Group 1 elements. We will start with which one? Group 1 elements. That is only writing. Here it is, heading group 1 elements. I will start with the first group, that is group 1 elements. Now these are also called as what? Which elements? Group 1 is also called as what? Alkali metals. Alkali metals. Now we will discuss with this one, group 1 elements or alkali metals. Now we will see the question first. Question, we will take one question. What is that question is? Here, question. What is that question is? Why? Question is why group 1 elements are called alkali metals. What is the question? Why group 1 elements are called as what? Alkali metals. Now we will see the answer for this one. Answer. Now here, answer. Before going to the answer, first we have to discuss the basics first. What are those basics? We will see. Now first I will take the one of the rough paper. Now just to check. Here it is. According to Arrhenius concept. Arrhenius concept for acid and bases. Acid is one which gives H plus ions after ionization. Acid is one which gives H plus ions after ionization. And according to Arrhenius concept, the base is one which gives OH minus ions after ionization. Means if one substance is added into the water, if it undergoes into the ionization and it is giving the H plus ions, then it is called as what? Acid. Any compound, if it is giving the H plus ions after ionization, that is called as what? Acid. After ionization, if it is giving the OH minus ions, that is called as what? Base. Base means the one which gives OH minus, acid means the one which gives H plus. According to whom? Arrhenius concept for acid and bases. Acid and bases. Now here, bases are also called as what? Alkali. Alkali nature. Alkaline means what? Bases. Alkali or alkaline in nature means what? Bases. Just remember, bases are also called as what? Alkali or alkaline in nature. Now here a reason we are studying. What is the question? Why group 1 elements are called as what? Alkali metals. For this one, right, we were seeing, just check here. When this group 1 elements are added into the water, are added into the water, they are producing the OH minus ions. When this group 1 elements means what are those? Lithium, here it is, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium. I'm not taking francium because it is radioactive. When these group 1 elements are added into the water, they are producing the OH minus ions. OH minus means it is base acid. After ionization it is producing what? OH minus. OH minus, the one which gives OH minus is a base. Therefore the group 1 elements are basic in nature. Group 1 elements are which nature? Basic in nature, because they are producing OH minus. These are also called as what? Alkali. Basic in nature means alkali, and these are showing the properties of metals. Therefore these are called as what? Alkali metals. Alkali because these are basic in nature, metals because these properties are same as that of the metals, like lustrous, malleable, ductile, sonorous, good conductor, etc. Those properties are obeyed by the group 1 elements. Therefore these are basic in nature, alkali, and these are metals. Therefore it is metals. Therefore combinedly called as what? Alkali metals. Now reason is, now what is the reason? When group 1 elements added into the water, when group 1 elements added into the water, now into the water, what happens? Which ions are produced? They produces OH minus ions. Therefore they are called as alkali metals. Alkali means which? Basic. Alkali metals. This is the reason why group 1 elements are called as what? Alkali metals. For more clarity I will write here, group 1 elements, when they are added into the water, they produces the OH minus ions. Therefore they are called as what? Alkali metals. Now we will see particular examples also. Particular examples, just check examples. Now if I add sodium is alkali metal. Here it is in the first group, second element, sodium, right? When I add sodium in the water, sodium, right, for balancing I am taking 2 atoms of sodium. When it is added into the water, again here I am taking 2 ions, right? It will form 2 Na and 2 OH. Here it is 2 hydrogen, 2 oxygen, 2 OH, 2 Na. It will form 2 NaOH. That is, I can write it as 2 Na plus 2 OH minus. Indirectly it is 2 NaOH only, right? But I want to show the OH minus ions. Therefore separately I am writing 2 OH minus. 2 Na gone, 2 hydrogen gone, 2 oxygen gone, correct? But how many hydrogens are total? 4. 2 used, means how many are there? Still 2 hydrogens, and that is released as a gas. Which gas it is? Hydrogen gas. Hydrogen gas, right? Now just check, when sodium is added into the water, it is producing which ions? Concentrate on the OH minus. It is giving which ions? OH minus ions. Therefore which nature it is? Basic nature. Basic means alkali. Therefore group 1 elements are called as what? Alkali metals. Now next we will go for the electronic configuration of the group 1 elements. Group 1 elements here, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium. I will write the electronic configuration of all these elements. Now for this one I will take another paper. Now here, next heading, electronic configuration of group 1 elements. Next heading, that is electronic configuration of group 1 elements. Just I will write the electronic configuration. Now just check here, I will write the elements first. What are the elements? Already you know. Elements, what are the elements? Lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium. Again I am putting star because radioactive. Francium is the radioactive element in the periodic table. Now I wrote the elements: lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium. Next I want to make another column, atomic number. Now I will write directly atomic number. Already you know, right? Atomic number of lithium is 3, sodium is 11. Next, similarly, here it is potassium is 19, rubidium is 37, and cesium is 55, and the last one francium is 87. 3 is the atomic number of lithium, 11 is for sodium, 19 for potassium, 37 for rubidium, cesium 55, and last one 87 for the francium. Now here I will write the electronic configuration. EC means what? Electronic configuration. Now I want to write the electronic configuration. For this one I am using noble gas. Here it is noble gas helium. Helium means atomic number is 2, right? Means here out of 3 electrons, 2 electrons are entered into the helium configuration, that is 1s2, means 1 electron is left, that is here it is second period, therefore it is 2s1. Next, neon 10, how many electrons are left? 1, therefore it is 3s1. Next, argon atomic number is 18, how many electrons are left? 1, therefore it is 4s1. Next, krypton atomic number is 36, how many electrons are left? Out of 37, 36 enter into krypton configuration, how many electrons left? 1, that enters into 5s1. Right, here it is xenon atomic number is 54, 54 electrons from the cesium enters into the xenon configuration, and 1 electron is left because it is having 55, that electron enters into the 6s1, right, 6s orbital, therefore it is 6s1. Similarly here it is radon, and here atomic number of radon is 86, 86 electrons are enters into the radon configuration, and 1 electron is left, 1 electron is left, that enters into the 7s orbital, 7s orbital. Now here this is the electronic configuration of the group 1 elements, group 1 elements. Now if you see the electronic configuration of all the elements, just check the electronic configuration, you will find here lithium belongs to which period? Second period. Sodium third period, potassium fourth period, rubidium fifth period, cesium sixth period, francium seventh period. Right, here 2 is the n value, period number, here 2s1, right, second period lithium is belongs, right, here 3, that is period number 3, right, n principal quantum number 3, that is equal to the period number. Already in the last class only we have discussed principal quantum number equal to the period number, right. Next here 4, n is equal to 4, fourth period, n is equal to 5, fifth period, n is equal to 6, sixth period, n is equal to 7, seventh period. Means indirectly you will find n S1, NS1, 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 that is n may be 2, n may be 3, n may be 4, n may be 5, n may be 6, n may be 7. The valence shell, general valence shell electronic configuration is NS1. S1, S1, S1 is there? S1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What are these values? N values. In the structure of atom we have discussed already. Just check here. Now 4s is there. What is the n value? You only wrote 4. L is equal to how much? 0. The first digit indicates n value. Here also, here 2s, right, n value is 2, here 3s, n value is 3, means the first value is n, and s1 as it is, means this is the general valence shell electronic configuration for group 1 elements. This is called as what? General valence shell electronic configuration for which block elements or which group elements? First group elements, right? First group elements, general valence shell electronic configuration is ns1 over. Next, just to check here, all the electronic configurations are same. Noble gas S1, noble gas S1, noble gas S1, noble gas S1, equal gas S1, noble gas S1, maybe 2s1, 3s1, 4s1, 5s1, etc. Right? Now all are having similar electronic configuration. All are having what? All are having similar electronic configuration. Therefore they are having similar properties. They are having what? Similar properties. Now just check here. All the group 1 elements are having similar electronic configuration. Therefore, they are having what? Similar physical and chemical properties. Next, now just to check here, remark. I want to make another column here. A remark. What is that column is? Here, the lithium, the first element, that is lithium, is most abundant element. Most abundant means it is available more compared with the other elements in the nature, right, in the earth crust, right. Now here, next, here the francium is what? Radioactive element. Radioactive element in the first group, right. Now next we will go for the physical properties of alkali metals. Next heading, physical properties of alkali metals. We have to discuss the properties of group 1 elements or alkali metals. In that, again, two are there: physical properties of alkali metals, chemical properties of alkali metals. We will discuss one by one. First we will discuss physical properties of alkali metals. Physical properties of alkali metals. Now here it is. Just check. I will discuss one by one, for I will use rough paper. Now here already we have discussed the general characteristic properties of S block elements. Here also similar properties only, right. I want to add 2-3 extra points, that's why I am using the rough paper. First, already we know the first point. First, already we know what is that one is. Now first, here if you check the alkali metals group 1 elements, if you add into the water, here for example water is there, if we add group 1 elements into the water, immediately the reaction will take place, right. Within fraction of second the reaction is taking place. Means group 1 elements are highly reactive or least reactive? Or highly reactive. Highly reactive. The first point is the group 1 elements are most reactive. For example, in place of group 1 elements, I will write particular element sodium. When the sodium is added into the water, it catches fire very immediately, very immediately, because sodium is highly reactive. Group 1 elements are highly reactive, most reactive. This is the first point that I want to write. The group 1 elements or alkali metals are most reactive, right. Now because of they are highly reactive, the alkali metals are highly reactive, they are always available in the combined state, always available in the combined state, not available in the pure state, not available in the pure state. Clear? Almost all times the alkali metals are available in which state? Combined state. Why they are available in combined state? Combined with the other element, combined with the other element, that is called combined state. Now not in the pure state, only single element, single group 1 element is not available, because the first group elements are highly reactive or most reactive. Now because of these group 1 elements are highly reactive, they should be stored in the oil. They should be stored in the oil. Group 1 elements are highly reactive, right. Therefore to reduce the reactivity, they should be stored in the oil, because when they come contact with the moisture or water in the air, again they start reacting. Therefore they should be stored in the oil. Now just think here, why group 1 elements are stored in the oil, sir? Right. Now for this one, air moisture is there. Moisture means water molecules are there. Now when those water molecules comes in contact with the group 1 elements, again they start the reaction. Therefore they should be stored in the oil. Next, fourth one. Now fourth is if you check the color, they are shiny and silver white. Shiny and silver white color. Group 1 elements are shiny silver white in color. Next, for example, if this one is the group 1 element, this one is the group 1 element, this can be cutted with the help of knife. By using the knife, chaku, by using the knife you can cut the group 1 elements. Therefore I can say that group 1 elements are soft metals. Actually, metals are not cutted with a knife. Group 1 elements are soft, therefore they can be cutted with the knife. Therefore, I can call this one as group 1 elements are soft metals. So soft metals. Next, sixth one is now here. This, if this one is the group 1 element, just to think that group 1 element, here I am connecting the current wire, current, electrical energy, current, right? Here point A, point B. You can observe the current at a point B also. Now just think that I am connecting current wire at the point A only, sir. Why current is coming to the point B? Because these group 1 elements are good conductor of heat and electricity, or simply I can say that just electricity. Okay na, simple one. They are good conductors. Group 1 elements are good conductors, therefore current can easily flow from one point to the another point in case of the group 1 elements. Now next, last point I want to discuss here. It is now here, seventh point I want to discuss is when this group 1 elements, how many valence electrons are there? First check. Here I wrote electronic configuration. How many valence electron? 1. After noble gas, how many electrons are there? Just check. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. In all orbits, right? Valence orbits, only 1 electrons. Lithium has 1 valence electron, sodium has 1 valence electron, potassium has 1 valence electron. Means all these elements are having how many valence electrons? 1 electrons, right? 1 valence electrons. If we remove, or if it loses that one valence electron, what is the configuration? If you remove the one of the electron from the lithium, what is the electronic configuration? Only helium configuration, right? If you remove the one of the electron from the sodium, means here 3s, one electron is not there, neon configuration. Similarly in cesium, if you remove the one of the electron from the outermost shell, right, what is the configuration? Xenon configuration. Means after losing the one electron or one valence electron, the electronic configuration of group 1 is same as that of the noble gases. Same means iso. Same means what? Iso. Iso means what? Same. Right? That is only I am telling. When these group 1 elements loses one electron or one valence electrons, the electronic configuration of group 1 will be same, or it is iso electronic configuration with the noble gases. Noble gases. This is the 7th point. Those points I want to write here for your points or notes. Now one by one I want to write. First one, those points only. Again I am writing here. First one is, what is the first one? Group 1 elements are, they are, you have to write complete, they are most reactive. They are most reactive. Second one is, they always available in combined state, not in pure state, right? Because of highly reactive. Because of these are highly reactive, they must be stored in oil. Stored in oil. Why? Already know. Because water in air reacts with group 1 elements. The moisture or the water molecules which are present in the air can also react with the group 1 elements. Therefore, they should be stored in the oil. Stored in the oil. Next point. Next, fourth one is, they are shiny. The group 1 elements are shiny and silver white in color. Silver white in color. Next, fifth point is, they can be cutted with knife. Means they are soft metals. They are, you have to write full, soft metals. They are soft metals. Now sixth one is good conductor, bad conductor. Current is passing from one point to the another point. Therefore, they are good conductors. They are good conductors. Last point, very important. That's why I'm writing with another color pen. Right? When group 1 elements lose one valence electron then electronic configuration is same that of noble gas. Here once again I will tell, when group 1 elements lose one valence electron, then the electronic configuration of group 1 element is same as that of the noble gases. That is iso electronic configuration with the noble gases. That is what? Iso electronic configuration with the noble gases. These 7 are the physical properties of the alkali metals. Now we will discuss with the general properties again, right? That is how the atomic radius varies along the group, right? A group only we are discussing, not periods. We are discussing only first group, not the periods. Means how the atomic radius changes along the group 1, how the ionization enthalpy changes along the group 1 from top to bottom, how atomic radius changes, how ionization enthalpy changes, how solvation enthalpy changes, how to identify the group 1 elements, we will see. That is general properties. For this one I am taking another paper. Now here now just check. Here I will write. First one by one we will discuss. First we will discuss the how the atomic radius varies along the group 1 by one. General properties. In that one particularly, first we will discuss the atomic radius. What are the group 1 elements? Write down all the elements. Lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium. These are called as what? Group 1 elements. Now you know, right, how the size changes. Top to bottom, already you wrote the exam on classification of elements. Top to bottom, lithium to francium, how the size changes? Decreases or increases? It will increases. Along group, the size or the radius of the elements goes on increases. From top to bottom, the atomic radius is increasing, right? That is only I am writing here. From top to bottom, this arrow indicates top to bottom, the atomic radius increases. Atomic radius increases. Why it increases? Because number of shells increases. Because number of shells from top to bottom increases. Therefore, the atomic radius increases. Just to think, lithium, how many shells are there? 2. Sodium, 3. Potassium, 4, etc. The number of shells are increasing. Or each time, the last electrons enters into the new shell. From lithium to sodium, one more shell increases. Sodium to potassium, one more shell increases. In this way, number of shells increases. Therefore, the atomic radius also increases. Next, we will discuss the second one, that is ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy. Now just check for ionization enthalpy. Now again I will write the elements. What are the elements? Lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, right? I don't want to write the francium because it is radioactive. Here I am not writing the francium. I am writing lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium. I am not writing francium because it is radioactive element. Now just to check. Now, what is meant by ionization enthalpy? What is meant by ionization enthalpy? For this one, I am taking one of the rough paper. For example, this one is the nucleus of the atom. This one is the valence shell, and this is the electron which is present in the valence shell. Here, this is the electron which is present in the valence shell, right? And it is gaseous, isolated atom. Gaseous, isolated atom. This is the, right? I took one of the gaseous, isolated atom. Right here, this is the valence electron or the last electron or the electron which is present in the last shell. That is called valence electron. I want to remove this electron. Remove this electron from the atom. For this one, I have to apply the energy. That energy is called as what? Ionization enthalpy. That energy, how much energy is required now? That is called as what? Ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy. What is meant by ionization enthalpy? It is the amount of energy. It is the amount of energy. Maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 in calories or kilocalories or joules, whatever may be the unit. It is the amount of energy required to remove. Required for what? Remove. Required to remove the valence electron. Required to remove the valence electron from the outermost shell in an isolated gaseous atom. Means in the isolated gaseous atom, to remove the valence electron, the energy required that is called as what? Ionization enthalpy. In proper way, the definition is amount of energy required to remove the electron from the isolated gaseous atom is called as what? Ionization enthalpy. Now, after removing the electron, which ion is formed? Loss of electron. Loss of electron means which ion it is? Cation. Means after removing the electron, which ion is forming? Cation. Right, one electron removed means what is the charge? +1 charge. Here also, all these are having only one valence electron. Therefore, after removing one electron, what will be the charge? +1. What will be the charge? +1. What will be the charge? +1, +1, +1. Means all these elements oxidation state is how much? +1. Because all are having how many valence electrons? 1. Right? 2s1, 3s1, 4s1. After noble gas, you studied now, only one electron. Right, now here it is from top to bottom. What happens to the ionization enthalpy? Ionization enthalpy from top to bottom decreases or increases? Decreases. Now the question is why it is decreasing? Because we know that one very important point, size is inversely proportional to the ionization enthalpy. From top to bottom, size is increasing. When the size increases, ionization enthalpy decreases. Top to bottom, lithium smaller size, therefore high ionization enthalpy. Cesium larger size, therefore low ionization enthalpy. Now just check why size decreases, ionization enthalpy increases, or why size increases, ionization enthalpy decreases. Why size is inversely proportional to the ionization enthalpy? Only because when the size decreases, the force of attraction between the nucleus and the valence electron increases. That is called nuclear force of attraction, indicated by the symbol Z effective. Here, when size decreases, Z effective increases. Size decreases. Right, when size decreases, the attraction between the nucleus and the last electron increases. Therefore, amount of energy required to remove the electron also increases. Therefore, from top to bottom, ionization enthalpy is decreasing. Finish. Next, we will go for the next one. Third one is hydration enthalpy or solvation energy. Here, third one, solvation enthalpy or hydration energy. Now we will discuss here this one. Now just check. First we will discuss the definition of solvation enthalpy or hydration energy. This is new concept. You don't know definition, right? First we will discuss the definition for this one. Here it is. Now just check what is meant by hydration enthalpy, solvation energy is. This one is a beaker filled with the large amount of water. Beaker filled with what? Large amount of water. I took one of the beaker in which large amount of water is filled. In this large amount of water, I want to dissolve 1 mole of ions. What I want to dissolve? 1 mole of ions. Means, just think that I took one of the big beaker and in this one I filled with the water. I filled that beaker with the water. In this one I am adding 1 mole of ions. I am dissolving 1 mole of ions. While dissolving the 1 mole of ions, what happens? The energy is released, or sometimes absorbed or sometimes absorbed. Means here once again I will tell, in the large amount of water, I took one of the big beaker which is filled with the large amount of water. In this one I am dissolving 1 mole of ions, 1 mole of ions. While dissolving the 1 mole of ions in the large amount of water, the energy is released or it is absorbed. Energy is released or absorbed. That how much energy is released or absorbed? This much of energy, correct? Whatever may be the amount of energy released or absorbed, that is called solvation enthalpy or hydration energy. Solvation enthalpy or hydration energy. What is meant by solvation enthalpy or hydration energy? When 1 mole of ions are dissolved in the large amount of water, the energy is released or absorbed. That energy is called as what? Solvation enthalpy or hydration energy. In simple language, you may write this one as the amount of energy. Here it is energy. The amount of energy released or absorbed. Amount of energy released or absorbed when 1 mole of ions dissolved in large amount of water is called solvation enthalpy or hydration energy. Now that is only I am writing. The amount of energy released or absorbed when here it is 1 mole of ions dissolved in large amount of water is called hydration energy or solvation enthalpy. Once again, I will write the direct formula here. Write a hint here. Hint. How it will vary for this one? Hint is always ionic radii is inversely proportional to the hydration enthalpy. Hydration enthalpy or energy, both are same, right? Means when the ionic radius means size only or size, right? When the size increases, hydration energy or solvation enthalpy decreases. Size increases, hydration enthalpy or solvation energy decreases. Just remember, therefore the order is smaller the size, more will be the hydration enthalpy. That is the point. What is the hint? Right? Ionic radii or size is inversely proportional to hydration enthalpy. Smaller the size, more will be the hydration enthalpy. Larger the size, less will be the hydration enthalpy. Means from top to bottom size is decreasing and increasing. Top to bottom size is increasing. Means size increases means hydration enthalpy decreases from top to bottom. Means what is the order? Order of hydration enthalpy is, what is the order of hydration enthalpy? Now here, just check. Lithium smaller size, more will be the hydration enthalpy than sodium, than potassium, than rubidium, than cesium. Right? It is for ions, therefore I am writing +1, +1, +1, +1, +1. Right? Now, therefore, lithium is having more hydration enthalpy or solvation enthalpy compared to the other elements in the first group, and it is available as a dihydrated. It is available as dihydrated, that is LiCl2H2O. 2H2O. Lithium chloride is dihydrated. Di means 2. Hydrated means water molecules. Lithium chloride is a dihydrated. Therefore, 2H2O is with the LiCl. Now just remember, smaller the size, more will be the hydration energy or solvation enthalpy. Therefore, order is top to bottom. Top to bottom. Don't think that I am writing in this way means it is period, right? It is not period, right? It is actually a group, but I want to write the order. Lithium smaller size, more will be the hydration enthalpy. Cesium larger size, therefore less will be the hydration enthalpy. Now, next concept is, or question is, question we will take in the form of question only. Next question is, how to identify First I will write the question, how to identify the given compound contains alkali metal or not. Alkali metal or not. What is the question? Understood? What is the question? Now, what is the question is, the given compound, for example, someone is giving some compound to you and he is asking, this compound contains alkali metal or not. Means the given compound contains alkali metal or not. How to identify? What is the procedure to identify that one? For this one, two methods are there. There are two methods are there for identifying that the given compound contains alkali metal or not. What are those? Is first one is answer alkali, right? Atomic spectra. First one is by using atomic spectra. If you take the atomic spectra of that compound and if you check with the other, right, for example, if the compound contains alkali metals, check that atomic spectra or take that atomic spectra and compare with the atomic spectra of the lithium, potassium, sodium, rubidium, cesium. If it is matching like fingerprints, right? If it is matching, then we can say that the given compound contains the alkali metals, right? How the CBI or police used to identify the criminal, right? The one of the best method is fingerprints. Wherever the crime happens now, there they used to collect the fingerprints, right? If the fingerprints are matching, means he is only the criminal. In this way, right? Like this only in the chemistry, which element it is, to identify that one, first we are going to take the atomic spectra. If the atomic spectra is matching with the lithium, then that compulsory the given element is lithium only. If it is sodium, then atomic spectra of that element and it should be matched with the atomic spectra of the sodium. If the given compound contains potassium, then the atomic spectra of that compound should be matched with the potassium's atomic spectra. In this way, first method is atomic spectra, and the second method is flame colorization. Flame colorization or flame test. It is also called as what? Flame test. This is important. Flame test. Now just check. What, sir, is this one flame test? What it is? Right? Your doubt. What flame test or flame colorization? Now, when this alkali metal, for this one I am taking rough paper. Here it is. When here it is, flame is there. Flame under fire benki. Right? A flame. Here it is. Flame is there. On the flame, if you hold some, right here some alkali metal. If you hold some alkali metal, right, then the color of the flame changes. Color of flame changes, or it will give a particular characteristic flame or flame color. Then we can say that the given compound is a alkali metal or the given element is alkali metal. Means when the given alkali metal, for example, one of the alkali metal is kept right on the flame, then the color of that flame should be changed. It will produce a characteristic flame or color. Then we can say that the given compound contains the alkali metal. Color changes, then compulsory it contains the alkali metal. How it will changes? If it is lithium, what is the color? If it is sodium, what is the color? That list I will give here. I will write one table I want to write here. Now here it is. I want to write lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium. Here I will write the metals, alkali metals. Right? Here I will write the what is the color. Now alkali metals I will write here. What are the alkali metals here? Lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium. Why I am not taking it? Because that is a radioactive. Now lithium will give crimson red color, kunkum color. Crimson red color means when the given compound contains lithium, when the lithium is present in the compound, when you kept that or when you hold that compound on the fire color changes to the crimson red color, kumkum color. Then we can say that the given compound contains the which alkali metal? Lithium. When it changes to the yellow, then we can say that the given compound contains the alkali metal sodium. When it changes to the violet, then we can say that the given compound contains the alkali metal potassium. When it changes to the red, complete red, then it is rubidium. When it changes to the complete blue, then it is cesium. In this way, by using the flame test, we can identify the given compound contains alkali metal or not. It is also one of the best method. Atomic spectra for particular element. If the given element for the compound, if it is given, then you have to go for the flame colorization flame test. Now we will stop here only. In my next class we will go for the chemical properties.